Hello everyone, and welcome to the Sacramento stop of a listening tour hosted by Students First and the California Mayor's Education Roundtable. My name is Jordan Feri, and I'm a senior and the student body president at West Campus High School here in Sacramento. I'd like to take the chance to thank Mayor Kevin Johnson, Ms. Michelle Reed, and Students First for the opportunity to speak to you this evening. As I sat in my room this Sunday, attempting to write this speech, I couldn't help but feel a profound sense of dread wash over me. It was overtime, and in the deciding play for the 49ers, Kyle Williams had fumbled the ball. For me, this means months of torturous comments and horrible jokes on the part of my father, an avid fan of the Raiders, who I'd just like to take the chance to remind, your team didn't do so well this year either. It's a funny thing, football. A game whose coaches are at once revered and ridiculed for their brilliance and sometimes lack of leadership. A game whose players are glorified and whose games are sometimes so mired in regulations they're unfit to watch. It is a game unlike, and at the same time, representative of our education system. In my 13 years as a student in the Sacramento City Unified School District, I've been taught by a number of incredible teachers. Last year, in Mr. Laird's AP United States History class, I experienced the educational embodiment of an effective football coach. You see, Mr. Laird knows what it means to be a teacher. He knows that it means empowering and exciting his students at every opportunity. And for Mr. Laird, it means holding annual tea parties and 1960s peace rallies and Thomas Jefferson versus Alexander Hamilton debates complete with matching wigs and costumes that look like they belong to Lady Gaga. For Mr. Laird, it means believing in his students. Believing in them enough to hold Socratic seminars, entire classroom discussions led by students, which produced greater results than any teaching technique I've ever seen. At the end of the year, through Mr. Laird, I realized that my dream of a career in medicine had been replaced by a passion for history and politics. And while he may have done the world a disservice, we surely need more politicians than doctors, he changed my life for the better. Mr. Laird should be the standard for the teaching profession. All teachers should seek to empower their students, should seek to get their opportunities out there and value opinions out there and value those opinions. Yet, in California, the differences and similarities to the game of football exist where they should not. While many teachers are like effective coaches, students, unlike players, are often cast to the wayside. And the system itself, like a game of football, is drowned in bureaucracy. Yet there is hope. When I was asked to speak to you tonight, I'll admit I was skeptical. I'd barely heard of Teachers First, and I had no idea what it stood for. Yet, after reading its mission and values, I knew that I had found something I hadn't believed existed. An organization of movement, over 1 million strong, whose goal it is, and whose idea it is, radical yet simple, that students can and should be placed first. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time that we have an open discussion about education. It's time that we realize that we all have the same values and beliefs and ideas about why schools exist. As a Sacramento native and a citizen in a nation whose political parties can't decide on a single issue, I am proud and excited to see so many of you here willing to have an open dialogue. Yet it is more than the notion of discussion which excites me. That this movement, this night, has an unprecedented and legitimate focus on students is amazing. on students, the primary stakeholders of the education system, and those who are so often forgotten. Because in the end, after all of the controversy and bickering over unions and teachers and tenure and administrators and race to the top and no child left behind, one fact always remains. Students are here, and we are waiting. So I ask you, is it realistic for me to believe that students can be the priority? That they can be placed first in a system where they will spend the first 18 years of their life in preparation for the next 70? As a student, I'm inclined to think so. As a representative of my peers at school and across the state, I'm inclined to think so. And as an individual whose future will be shaped by 13 short years in the education system, I'm inclined to think so. I can only hope that you think so as well. Thank you. And without further ado, I am honored to welcome Mayor Kevin Johnson.
Okay, we need to do better than that for Jordan. All right, I want to thank everyone for coming out. We're extremely